time to call your lawyer.
As we do each and every week, have a conversation with my friend and attorney, Bruce L. Shiner. He brings clarity to the law and answers your questions. If you want to send us a question for future consideration, I'll tell you how to go about it. Just sit tight for a second while we answer somebody else's question today. Now, I want to remind you that the opinions expressed in this segment should not be taken as specific legal advice in your specific legal situation. That's why it's specific. And that's why you need to have a consultation that deals exactly with your issues. If you've been injured, you're strongly encouraged to talk with an attorney before signing anything or making any statements. Many attorneys offer a free consultation, which Bruce L. Shiner does, so take advantage of that. Let's see what Bruce thinks of today's legal brain teaser. Please make welcome attorney for the injured, Bruce L. Shiner. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, Todd.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How's the week treated you?
Not too bad so far. We're kind of busy this time of the year. A lot of football events on the calendar and that kind of thing. So the weeks tend to be a bit long, but not too bad.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
We've got a question this morning that I think is so topical and so timely. We always ask you these questions for people who have questions about insurance and about injuries and about the law. And the subject of Uber, that ride-sharing service, comes up all the time nowadays. So let's get right into it and see if you can provide some information for us.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, this one is not about, thankfully for once, somebody who's already injured, but it's a good question. It says, my husband no longer drives, and he is frequently using his Uber app to get around town. What type of insurance coverage are these drivers required to have? I haven't any idea, but I bet Bruce does.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what type of insurance they're required to have. Uber, the company itself, has a $1 million policy that comes in or kicks in after the driver's policy would pay whatever they're responsible for. However, sometimes the driver has just regular car insurance like you or I would have, and it provides that it doesn't cover if you're using your vehicle for commercial purposes.
Right.
So the driver's coverage might not cover you. And again, I understand that Uber has a policy that would help you. And the Florida legislature has decided not to take up ride-sharing legislation, so they don't have any rules or laws requiring any certain type of insurance. Some municipalities have taken it up and made requirements as far as insurance goes. But, it's really interesting. Almost every place you turn, our good friend uninsured motorist coverage kicks in, because if somebody is safe and protects themselves and has a substantial amount of uninsured motorist coverage, if they're involved in a wreck in Uber and there's not enough coverage, good old uninsured motorist coverage takes over.
There you go. It sounds like a broken record sometimes, but it's a very important point.
Talking about Uber, though, I wanted to mention something, and I don't want to spread rumors or say things that are unkind, but I've read recently where some of the Uber drivers, they didn't do a sufficient background check, and there was some dangerous things that these people had in their records, and they were still allowed to drive. Whereas, most cab drivers are very carefully vetted before they're allowed to get their cabbie license. So that's something to, take into consideration if you want to use some type of ride-sharing company.
It may save you some money or be more convenient, but what situation are you putting yourself in? Hate to throw Latin at you, but a real case of caveat emptor,
That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate the update, and frequently I think we'll probably come back and ask you more and more about Uber, because I have a feeling this has grown so explosively. It's something that's just not going to go away, and I'm sure we'll have more questions in the future.
No, and I had no idea, but Uber's all around the world now.
Absolutely, yes. It's just amazing how much it has grown. Bruce, thank you so much for weighing in on this. And I hope we don't have any questions that involve anybody getting hurt in an Uber situation. But for the time being, we'll just kind of put a period at the end of the sentence and wait for the next Uber story to come along. Thank you again.
Well, thank you, Todd. And, every week it seems like your listeners are calling in with more interesting questions because they're right on top of the current situation with current events and things that are going on day to day.
Bruce, thanks again, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Okay, Todd. Have a nice week.
You too. Give it up, please, for our attorney for the injured, Bruce Elshiner. And please remember that if you've got a question you'd like us to ask, we'll be glad to do that. Simply send it to us through our website, kickscountry929.com. Look for Bruce Elshiner or BLS on the homepage and send us your question. Now, remember, we keep everything anonymous. Never going to use your name or anything like that, but maybe next week your question gets answered by Bruce Elshiner. And if you'd like to consult with him on a legal situation for free, you can always do that in the privacy of his Port Charlotte office. Here's the number to call, 941-743-7777. 941-743-7777 in Port Charlotte. Don't let anyone take away your rights. Find out how to protect yourself and your interests by calling today, 743-7777. And be sure to tell them that Todd sent you from Kicks Country 92.9.